like to call this meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order for October 22nd. Is there anyone here from the Ministerial Association? Okay, we will open then with the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And also turn off the ringer on your phones if you would, please, this time. First item on our agenda is Highway Department. Larry Weitzel.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
We have quite a bit going on today. First, I want to bring up that we want to set our annual bid date for the various things that we bid annually for. We want to receive quotes on December the 3rd. I need to get you guys to sign for those two. December 3rd. Gasoline, bacterial mixtures, liquid asphalt, aggregates, and culvert.
I'll make a motion, we set the bid date for the highway material and for gasoline, diesel fuel, bituminous mixtures, liquid asphalt, aggregates, and culvert pipe.
9 a.m.
Yes.
Tires.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor to set the annual bid date for the Highway Department, 12 for December 3rd at 9 a.m. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
What's this?
Tire.
Tires. We need this separate.
No, it's not.
Didn't hear the motion yet.
The big thing is truck bids today, but I think we'll go ahead and do our permits real quick, get this out of the way. We have two permit requests. One is for Michael Burke. This is a driveway on 500 west, half a mile north of 600 north.
He's building a house.
I think we'll go area there that's on the east side, and several power lines.
I move we approve permit number 12-028 from Michelle and John Burke at 1/2 mile north of 600 north on 500 west for a driveway type somewhere, or driveway type.
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve permit 12-028 to the Burks for a driveway permit on 500 west, half a mile north of 600 north. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next one is a road cut for drainage for Stafford Farm, 1,000 feet east of 900 west on 300 south.
On what road is it?
300 south, 1,000 foot east, 900 west.
12-029 for Stafford Farms for a road cut for drainage 1,000 feet east of 900 west on 300 south.
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to grant permit 12-029 to Stafford Farms for a road cut for drainage 1,000 feet east of 900 west on 300 south. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The big thing today is truck bids. And let me explain that a little bit because it's confusing. We're bidding a triaxle and we're bidding a tandem with a belly plow. But the way that works is we have a very detailed, lengthy spec for all the equipment required for highway type trucks. So you have truck dealers, truck suppliers, and you have body or bed builder suppliers. We're taking a bid for a unit. So we may have, I see we have a nice stack of bids, which is good. We may have, it'll be very confusing, and we'll have to take them back, and I'll usually put a spreadsheet together to do all the analysis, but you may have a bid that includes the truck and the bed all made up, or you may have a bed builder that just bids the bed work, or a truck that just bids the truck. That's not the way we wanted it, but we won't be surprised if we get that. And then you may have a bid, one of the truck guys may have a bid with one bed builder, and you may have another bid with another bed builder. So, anyway, there they are.
Okay.
So you can open them and, try to read the best we can so that we can see what it looks like. And these guys can tell the best they can whether they were low or whatever. But it'll require an extensive spreadsheet to actually do the analysis.
What's the problem?
No, I just said you got one with quite a pictorial. Yeah. Big advertising.
I have a bid from Stoops Freightliner in Anderson. Base bid, new truck, straight cost with no trade-in, new triaxle dump truck, cab chassis and dump bed fully equipped for specifications, $145,204. Base bid, new truck, straight cost with no trade-in, new tandem dump truck, cab chassis and dump bed fully equipped for specifications, $123,557. Alternate for underbody plow or tandem for underbody plow specification, $10,361. Allowance for optional trade-in of 1997 GMC Kodiak dump truck, $6,000. Allowance for optional trade-in of 1997 GMC Kodiak dump truck, Unit 8, the previous one was Unit 7, also $6,000.
Okay. I have a bid from Selking International, Muncie, a Muncie store. Base bid, new truck, straight cost with no trade-in, new tri-axle dump truck, chassis, or cab chassis and dump bed, fully equipped, per specs, $145,269. Base bid of a new truck, straight cost with no trade-in on a new tandem truck, cab chassis, dump bed, fully equipped, per spec, $126,259. Alternate for an underbody plow on the tandem for the underbody plow specifications, $11,868. And then allowance on both those trucks, Unit 7 and Unit 8 of the 97 GMC Kodiak dump trucks, $7,285 for both, either one of them. Brand of bed is road truck equipment, it's Patriot.
We've got a bid from General Truck Sales in Muncie, Indiana. Base bid for the tri-axle dump truck, they did not bid on that one. Base bid for the new tandem dump truck, cab chassis dump bed, fully equipped, per specs is $135,145.31. Alternate for underbody plow and tandem for underbody plow specification is not applicable. And the allowance for the trade-in of Unit 7 or Unit 8 is $8,200. The brand of bed is an RTE Patriot.
I have a bid for General Truck Sales in Muncie. The base bid for the new truck, straight cost with no trade-in, new class of dump truck, cab chassis and dump bed, fully equipped, per specification, $149,997.95. Did not bid on the base bid new truck, new tandem dump truck. The allowance for the optional trade-in of Unit 7 and 8 was $8,200. And the brand of bed is RTE Patriot. Installer bed equipment is W.A. Jones.
I've got one from Indy Truck Sales, Indianapolis. It is a dump truck package, International 7500 Jones dump package. The unit price is $126,995. I don't understand this, a non-collision affidavit. They had one international 7600 is $143,995.
My pricing page is on further inside there, just like everybody else's.
Further inside?
Correct. On the paperwork that you provided.
Okay. The base bid new truck, the new tri-axle dump truck was $143,995. The base bid for the new tandem dump truck was $126,995. The alternate for underbody plow on tandem per underbody plow specification is $11,868. The trade-in for either truck was $7,500. The brand of bed is the Patriot dump body. Thanks.
And then I have a bid here for a tri-axle dump truck out of specs that they have in stock, and this is General Truck Sales in Muncie. This truck is already equipped, and information here on how it's spec'd out is in here as well, and the amount on that truck. That's a 2012 Volvo VHD tri-axle with a 16.5-foot bed. $122,687.25.
I have a bid from JX Peterbilt, Indianapolis. Model year of the vehicle is 2013. Base bid new truck, straight cost with no trade-in, new trucks, a dump truck, cab chassis, dump bed, fully equipped for specifications, $156,459. Base bid new truck, straight cost with no trade-in, new tandem dump truck, cab chassis, dump bed, fully equipped for specifications, $139,785. Alternate for underbody plow or tandem for underbody plow specification, $11,868. Allowance for optional trade-in of Unit 7, $10,000. Allowance for optional trade-in of Unit 8, $8,000. Brand new bed, road truck equipment, Patriot, installer of WA Jones Truck Equipment.
Have a bid from JX Peterbilt in Indianapolis. The base bid new truck, new triaxle dump truck is $156,459.
Is that not just a, is that not a copy of under a quote, the same thing she did?
Is there
Yes.
anyone here for Peterbilt?
Yeah, it's, I put, yes, it is. One's for tandem, one's for the tri.
Oh, okay.
But both of them are listed on each sheet.
Both of us from both sheets?
Yes, sir.
That's what you were
She
written.
just
Yes,
read.
sir.
Okay. All,
Motion
I
to
move
take
that
this
we
under advisement.
take these bids under advisement and allow Mr. Weitzel to review them and bring them back next meeting, Lauren.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor to take these truck bids and equipment bids under advisement and allow Larry Weitzel, Highway Superintendent, to review them and then come back with his recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Larry.
thank you everyone for your participation.
Had good participation there, so you should have
Yeah.
you got a lot to think over, and that's good. Some different options.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Morning, Bill.
Good morning. My report's real simple. Bridge 8 and Bridge 61, the two that we are currently designing, both of those we're ready. I've got to meet with the property owners here in the next month and get the property releases and stuff like that. But we're looking to hold off on bidding them this year, bid them at the beginning of next year, in January, February, and that shouldn't be a problem. We'll just have to reappropriate the cash balance that we have this year for at the beginning of the year. And landfill, everything's been going fine out there. I'll let you know that ATC and Associates has been purchased by another company called Cardinal. It's a large national, even larger national firm, but nothing will change. We still have the same individuals working Brent Miller and everything like that, but they have been purchased. And there'll be a new name change. It'll be Cardinal from now on. So, and I have not heard any word from IDEM on the parking lot at all. So hopefully everything is going well, and we will have another testing here come the beginning of the year for another quarterly testing on that. The only other thing is I did receive a phone call over the weekend from Mr. McCorkle about the wind farm, some issues going on there. Spoke with Mike Behringer with White Construction on a couple things. Some signs have been knocked down, no wind farm signs, so he's taking care of that. There's also been some power interruptions as they're bringing turbines online. Right now, they're working 24/7. They're working at night too because of the winds and everything like that, just to try to get turbines up and everything on. So I'm sure there's a number of frustrated residents along there too, because they had a scheduled power outage yesterday at 2 o'clock, and Mr. McCorkle was not real happy with that one either, but Mr. Behringer was going to go out and see if he could get him a temporary, like a generator to keep him up and running during the day. So they're trying. There's some other issues that we need to, I'm gonna go out this afternoon and take a look at some roads and with the operation and maintenance building that's going on there. I understand he was complaining about some of that stuff too, so I will be out there to check on all that.
Okay.
So, but I'd let you all know that if you hear anything back. But I will call him back later this afternoon after I've been out there a little bit.
I haven't heard any complaints, but I heard one of the neighbors out there said that the lights were shining in his house the other night when they were working, because like you said, they're working 24 hours a day.
Right.
And he said, so he went out and sat in his pickup in one of their drives and watched him set the tower from 1 o'clock to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But he did it because he wanted to.
How long is the power out?
I'm not even sure exactly the time frame. They are scheduled, and Mr. McCorkle said they have been scheduling. He was just frustrated that they were scheduling it, quite honestly, during the football yesterday afternoon. I understand that, so, but there have been a couple, they said that they were unscheduled in that, and power just went out. One of them was early in the morning, and they were trying to make breakfast and stuff like that. So, I talked with Mr. Behringer with White Construction again. Now, I asked him about the operation and maintenance facility. White Construction is not overseeing that. I don't know the contractor there, and I think it's people directly associated with Eon, so I'm gonna have to call in to Andy about that, and we'll try to resolve any problems with that facility. But as far as actual length of time for power outage, I don't think it's I don't think it's hours. I think it's a pretty short time. I think they just have to shut everything down, hook stuff up, and then start it back up again.
Thanks, Phil.
And that's it. Any other issues? First of all, are you okay with us holding those bids until next year and doing that?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Larry?
IDM comes to inspect the landfill, various times or whatever, and they have a habit of picking like the worst possible weather condition. And so they came last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Well, I always figure if you say it's, conditions aren't when we get out there, they figure you're probably trying to hide something or whatever. So you always figure out a way to get out there, we go out there, we get stuck and pick up truck. And then my relief truck would come to get me my stuff, and then back go out there and unstuck. As far as I know, we passed the line. Anyway, they go look at it, we'll take them out.
Nothing like making it as hard as they can. Yeah, a lot of effort just to take one person to do an inspection.
Yeah, it was, and she wants they want to drive around the whole thing, and as you know, some of that area out there is just, even though it's all, the grass is up and everything looks terrific, Larry can attest, there are some soft spots. And
Next time I wish the horses.
There you go. Take the horses or the gator.
I did the gator
he's
2 years
done
ago.
it, but it was, I think the gator would have been soaking wet this year.
Yeah, she came out and said, I said, the only way we can get there is if I go home and get my gator. She said, okay. So I hitched the trailer up, went home, got my gator, went out there, ran over the road, put it full of drive, and moved.
And I'd like to say kudos to Sherry Crawford out of the Highway Department. She has done a tremendous job with making sure that all the information, all the paperwork and everything is in order for all the, and IDEM has never come back with her and said, oh, you're missing stuff or anything like that. It's always been in order, so she's done a terrific job on that.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Larry, do we have anything with Yates?
Jim, I'm not sure what.
I just wanted to come by and give you an update. We are down. Morning. We're down to 7,000 feet of trenching remaining. So this last month has been a little slower than we'd hoped. But still, considering we started out with 350,000 feet, we're about to close in on it. And we have just over 300 home service entrances remaining. So we're getting close. I would expect that within the next 30 days, we'll have all of our buried construction work done. And then you'll see fiber splicers and those kind of technicians in here, central office folks. But we're getting close to finally having this fiber network ready. So just a real quick update.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Matt, are you here for Sheriff Moses?
I am not, sir. I just stopped by.
Okay. All right, well, he's in Florida, right?
He is on vacation, yes.
You know how many inmates there are?
41 currently this morning.
Yeah, I'm going to her next. Jackie, do you have a report for us or something you need
Well, I
to
don't have
say?
a report, but I'm here today. I got an email from Commissioner Harper last week, and Greg called me yesterday. The council set aside another $10,000, so I have an addendum that changes the amount of the original contract to $40,000. But in email and in the conversation with Greg and in the conversation here briefly with Beth this morning, it appears our scope maybe needs fine-tuned a little bit as to just really where we're going to take this last 130 hours that we have, this 100 and the 30 that's left from the remaining. So we kind of need to either prioritize as a group or change the scope of work to just what we want this 100 hours spent on. It's my understanding in the three bits of conversation that highway is one of the priorities we want looked at. There's consideration of the settlement funds to look at settlement last year and this year to make sure monies have been addressed. And we've got the general fund that still needs to be finished and looked at. And so I guess and we knew drainage was earlier, but in speaking to Beth, she thinks that can be handled in-house. So I just kind of want a scope from you or something that gives me the direction of where you want me to go and how you want me to proceed should you sign this addendum.
The highway's definitely a priority. But what do you think, in your opinion, of what's left to do and the amount of time that we're purchasing?
Well, I agree highway needs to be looked at, and we knew the settlement funds were off. Settlement shouldn't take too awful long to calculate and make sure that those went. And I should be able to find what that difference. Settlement shouldn't be that big of a deal because it's just 2 times a year, and there's definite money that we have to come back to that was collected. So I don't think that will take too long. It depends on how deep you want me to go into the general fund, and I'm presuming you want me to look at the general fund this year as to where expenditures have been made. Is that correct, Beth? Where the expenditures have been made this year to ensure that everything is coming out of the right line items and those issues, correct? So, I mean, highway and the general fund will absorb a big part of it. How many hours?
Don't know.
It's difficult to predict how many hours it's going to actually take because you don't know how long you might have to hunt for one thing or another. It shouldn't take too long. I should be able to tell by the vendor when something is coming out of the wrong category, but it might be such a thing that I'll need to pull some claims to ensure they're coming from the right category, or give Greg a list of claims that they can pull them rather than my time that they can pull and see that they're coming from the right place. So I think we can get those 2 done in it, and then, I can come back, obviously, and keep you up. I'll keep you up on where we are. And if you like, I can shoot emails through the process here. I have James and yours. I don't know that I have yours, but I can get it, and Beth with the council. But I just need a direction on where you want me to start, and then we'll just
People I've talked to, definitely, I think the highway needs to be a number one.
Okay. Jackie, my concern is that the errors are continuing to occur. And so, as you are correcting the errors in the past, the errors continue in the present. And as I looked at the ledger over the weekend, and you had already checked off rainy day, there are errors now in rainy day. So, my concern is
Okay.
that there are errors occurring.
Now,
And so-
I do know we've had a change since that was originally checked off. The change wasn't made till after. That's a short span of time I can look at and we can correct those. But I believe the new person doing those claims now hasn't had any training. And it was my understanding from the last council meeting that we didn't want to spend any of that time or any of this time on that training. So again, I need your direction on where you want me to spend those hours.
Well, and, I think you can understand what I'm saying. is
I do.
that- Is that, so we have to decide, do you spend it on training so that we stop the bleeding now?
Amen.
Because you will never catch up.
That's right.
I don't disagree. But I think that's the call of this board, where you want that direction to go. And that's why I'm asking for your direction on where you want me to go with the scope.
Beth has a comment. Beth?
I'd like to see a small window of those hours dedicated to training for the men's work. Because Lindsay has got put into that position now, correct, Greg?
Yes.
And I think it's only fair that she get the proper training. I feel like if she's trained at the level in which the errors happened before, then we're not going to get anywhere. Things are going to stay the same. So I think, Jackie, I don't think it would take her long at all to work with her, and show her
I
where
would think
to find in the system to find help, because help's in the system. It's just like a book you can pull out, but it's there. And if she knows where to find her resources, I think that'll help too.
Jackie, how much time can you spend actually here in the office instead of, out of the office?
I could spend 100 hours here. I will tell you, it is not as productive to be here for 100 hours as it is in my office for 100 hours. I now have the ability to dial in.
Mhm.
Bill has set me up so I can dial in and work from the workstation in the office. And the reason it's more productive is because I become a crutch,
Mhm, right.
which is not a bad thing, but it's not as productive with your money
It helps burn out the hours that we're purchasing.
Exactly.
And I know that you had said originally too that you identify the errors, but you are not able to correct the errors.
I make no corrections.
Right, okay, so when does that happen?
Those corrections have been turned over to be made,
Okay,
and you're telling me they're not made?
correct.
Okay. Well, before I would finish, I would double check and make sure that everything is done, so I'll have to look at those notes that we've made on the corrections that I've submitted to be done.
Beth, this last $10,000, is that the end of the council's participation?
I think so. I think we were lucky with this time. So yeah, I don't think we'll go any further.
Okay. So you'll be
I told her
with no matter where we end up.
I told her, I said, these
Okay.
last 100 hours are like gold.
Okay.
Which is a reason I don't want to spend a lot of that 100 hours here. It's not that I don't like being here, it's just that it's not as productive for you. If I'm here answering a lot of questions, I can't concentrate as well as when I'm in that four walls all by myself.
I know, but my issue is that if we can't use your knowledge and help to stop.
And I can be here some. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I can be here as much as you want me to be here. I'm just telling you, it's not as productive when you're hunting for mistakes it's not as productive to be interrupted and then go back and start hunting for those mistakes again.
Right, that's why I'm.
I mean, I can spend, you give me a number of hours, you want me here, I'll be glad to. It's closer for me to drive here than it is to
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
that's why I'm hoping that I think some of it has to be devoted to the training.
I can get Lindsay trained probably, I would say no more than 8 hours, to go over what she's done and point out the mistakes that have been made and move her forward. And then if she has questions, she calls me. I don't charge her for those calls.
Well, I think you've heard that we think highway should be the priority, and I think you need to just go to the next stage, whatever you think needs to be
As
done.
I tell you, look, how about if we put it this way? As I get close to the end of highway and the training of Lindsay, I'll notify everybody, and we can make then a consensus and somebody respond to me on the next. I'll start highway, I'll go settlement, and then general fund, and I'll keep you abreast of where we are and what it's taking.
I think that's good, and that way you'll get Lindsay through maybe a set of claims for this next
Yeah.
time and find out her, by then she ought to have it.
What I need to do is sit down and look at the claims that she's done and see where the mistakes are. And if you have any, please let me know. Shoot me an email or something. And then I can show those to her. Because we had a little bit of discussion about the different categories and what she needs to watch for and those type of things. But she really hasn't had any formal training.
Okay. Well, let's need a motion then to adopt this.
This really doesn't say anything in here about, what we want you to do, but does this suffice with this conversation?
It does, it would be in the minutes, and if we need to find, because we really aren't changing the scope, we're just now setting a priority. And as long as it's in the minutes and we all agree, I'm good with that.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the addendum with Maximus Consulting Services not to exceed the amount of $40,000.
So,
We have a motion second on the floor then to accept this addendum presented by Jackie Clements with Maximus to extend the contract to a maximum amount of money of $40,000. All those in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Will you be here today?
I hadn't planned on it because I've been out of the office all week.
That's okay, I understand. What
I'll
day
set
will
a
you be?
time, I'll set a time with Lindsay, because this is auditor's conference.
Okay.
And I'll make a date with Lindsay before I leave. I'll also get a copy of some stuff I can view it tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Linda?
I just come, my winter conference is coming, and I know that it's been, I have to bring it before you guys, and I did put in my budget to be able to stay. Beth's here, I think they approved, I think Greg told me they approved the monies, $7,000 in it. That, for next year, and this is January conference, okay? So I just wanted to give them permission to be able to go and stay at the conference.
we did last year.
Yes.
And did we talk about
I put in my budget for the mileage and also for the stay at the hotel or the conference. It's one of these things, I have to go to be able to keep my job. I mean, I gotta keep my level, and it's just the drive back and forth. I mean, I've been here, like I said, I think I showed you guys last year, 30-some years, I've always done it. It's just become an issue the last few years, so. But I did put it in, I kind of documented everything to the council to show what it would cost, what it would, do. It's my girls, they all have to have their levels. I got two No, right now I've got one level 2, because if it gets left, Phyllis has got her level 1, Shannon's got a level 3, I have a level 2, and Virginia Baker, the Peterboa has to be involved too, and Virginia's the only one of the Peterboa that usually goes.
So how many rooms is it?
It'll be 3, because there's 5 of us. And I think, I think they're $99 or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because this is against the travel policy, correct?
Yes, that I was approval to stay.
You say it's 3 nights?
Yes. It's usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and come back on Friday.
You okay? I make a motion we grant Linda the request for the overnight stay during their required conferences on January the 15th through the 18th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to grant Linda Altair permission to attend and stay at the ICAA Winter Conference, January 15th through the 18th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Linda. Let's go to DLZ contract. Right.
There was a bill came in, I asked him to put this down on the business.
Right, we have a bill that's come in for that contract that was approved for the ADA compliance survey.
How much is it?
It's a little $3,000, I think it's around $3,600. But we need to have a project signed, project number 60 signed for
I'll
that.
make a motion that we amend our capital improvement plan and add project 60, which is the DLZ doing our ADA compliance survey.
Now, do you have an amount of money that you're going to
I'm
put in
gonna
that?
make another motion, yeah,
And
I
that
have a
motion?
motion, and we transfer $36,000 from project 47 to project 60. No, it's project 54 to project 60.
Now,
Is that
wait a
around
minute.
36,500?
36.5?
It is 36.5.
Well, we only have like $36,350 some dollars in it, so I'm going with the 36,000 for now, and as the bills come in, we may have to transfer 500 more, or it may be next year before the total bills come in, so
Okay.
Okay,
I know we have the 36,000.
all right. We have a motion on the floor, do we have a second?
36,000 from 54 to 60.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion, second on the floor, to amend our capital improvement plan by transferring $36,000 for the DLZ contract from project 54 to project 60. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Lido contract.
The Lido group are interviewing and ready to hire an executive director. In order to do that, they need some money. In order to do that, we've got to have a contract for services. They gave us a copy of the contract, which is a basic contract, and it can be amended at any time. So I suggest that we get the contract signed. The city, I have been told, is going to go for it, and we are working together, and hopefully can have a good group. So,
When will that be before the city council, Don?
Actually, it doesn't come before the city council. They've just been advised and asked for their comments by the city executive and mayor. But I intend to execute it.
I talked to Linda this morning about the applicants, just how many they'd had and so forth, and she said there's been 35 applicants, very qualified group of people. And she said they're narrowing that down to 8. Interview 4 of those and then see how that comes out and go to the next step, whether to add more to the interview process. But they have interviewed a lot of these people, I guess, by phone. I believe Mike Harlow and Lyndon, I don't know who else, but.
You know, I see the process they're going through now as part of their fulfilling of that contract. So I can see where they would like to have us sign the contract so they can continue to fulfill their obligation that's been set before them as they understand it currently. And there's a lot of work preceding to doing that.
There have been some people commenting, wanting some changes and additions into that contract, which I think we do need to refine and make some changes. But I personally believe we need the director on board now to start our discussions and make sure we don't go a change today and a change tomorrow and a change tomorrow. So I think our next step is to get the executive director on board and become very much a part of it.
Well, there have been some communications about the contract and about the fact that the organization wants payment of November and December on the 31st day of October with no guarantee that a director will be hired, and payment of services, prepayment of services, contractual services is not allowed. And we know that. And that's been said numerous times on this board, that you cannot prepay services. We have never prepaid services. We have numerous examples of contracts, Maximus, Nexus, ATC, DLZ, House of Levine, Lau, Seals, everything. Every contract that comes before this board, we do not prepay. We pay contracts when services are received. And because they cannot guarantee that a director is going to be on board November 1st, they cannot guarantee that they have rent November 1st, we do not enter into contracts prepaid. It's not allowed. I've spoken with the state auditor. I've spoken with people at the State Board of Accounts. It is not allowed. With a claim for payment of services, you have to fill out one of these. And it says, I hereby certify that the attached invoice is true and correct and that the materials or services itemized were ordered and received. And if this claim is signed, then that is not true. And so the people who sign it are subject to a Class C infraction. Mr. Townsend pays it. He's subject to a Class C infraction because he's paying it because he lied. The services are not received. We have never done that. We've never prepaid a contract. We can't do it. So that's why that there's problems with this contract. And if we had met with the Lido board before this contract was dropped in our laps, then those things could have been discussed. But what happened was, we never met between June 25th and October 10th before this contract was dumped on us for that to be discussed. And it simply is not allowed. And I'm sure that the Lido does not want to put the commissioners or certainly the auditor or the clerk treasurer in a position that they are going to be violating the Indiana code. And the other thing is that you not only cannot prepay services, you certainly cannot pay for services that you never got. So if a director doesn't start till November 15th, but you're paying on November 1st, You never got those services. So, you know, the other thing that is wrong is that we paid a bill to Electoral Insurance for the Lido. So when that claim was signed, it says, you know, that Tipton County paid for services that we received. We never received those services to Electoral Insurance. When that claim is looked at next year in the State Board of Accounts, unless that's deducted and tied to this contract when it is executed, then we're going to get tagged with it, because you cannot use county funds to pay Electoral Insurance for services to the Lido. That's like if we paid a bill for the Tipton County Foundation. You can't do that. And I'm tired of sitting up here telling this board, we can't do these things.
I mean, how does the Lido get up and get rolling if they don't have some money to operate on?
How have they paid for their lawyer? How have they done those things?
The contract that they presented us is a contract for services. It is not up to us that we nitpick their budget. It is a contract for services.
It says payable in advance.
The $1,700 that you asked about, in June the 20th, 2011, you and I voted to give them $15,000 for legal fees to help
No.
get started.
No, you cannot find that in any motion. That's not true. That did not happen.
Do you want to read the minutes?
Mhm.
June the 20th, 2011.
No.
So I make a motion that we accept and enter into the contract with the Tipton County Economic Development Organization Incorporated on November the 1st, 2012.
What did it say? What did it say?
I make a motion.
No, on June 11th, what did it say? And then, no,
Hmm?
you said on June 11th you did it.
No, I'm making a motion. I'm telling that June the 20th, 2011, Jane and I voted to give them $15,000 money, and they would come to the county for claims, not to give them money, but give them permission to get started. So I am making a motion that we accept and enter into the contract with Tipton County Economic Development Organization as of
But
November
nobody
the 1st.
transferred back then.
As of November the 1st, 2012.
Let him speak.
Okay.
When did June 11th, when did that, what was the motion June 11th?
I never said June 11th.
Yes, you did. You said.
No, I did not. I said June the 20th,
Okay, June of
2011.
Okay, what was the motion?
What was the motion? That we enter into that agreement with the Tipton County, with the volunteers at that time.
No money was paid out.
No.
No money was
What
paid out.
happened on June the 20th was that we entered into the sustainable approach, and it said proposed actions for the next 90 days. Proposed actions. The volunteers will receive a $15,000 commitment of funds they may use June 1st through August 31st of 2011 to pay for consulting, legal, licensing, and accounting fees as determined by the volunteers to establish Lido. We never did it. Proposed actions. Another proposed action with the city and county government will adopt an interlocal agreement. We never did it. We never did that because we couldn't do it. It never happened. And I'm saying that this contract says that this will be payable in advance. And payable in advance is not, it is against the Indiana code. It can't happen. And Greg, if you do this, you can check with Tim Berry, the state auditor. You can check with Tammy White, State Board of Accounts, and they will tell you you can't do it. I guarantee you, they'll tell you you can't do it. So, Beth, do you have anything to say about this?
I looked at the statutes that revolve around this, and I mean, I really think you need to give it another 2 weeks. 2 weeks is not going to make or break the Lido. And get your attorney to look at this sincerely, because I hate to see it start out on the wrong foot. I feel the same way you guys do. When I get going, it's positive. Everything's been positive. I want to stay on that track. And if this could be a concern, I hate to see it start out this way. Not when in 2 weeks you can have your answers, everything could be done, with no issues surrounding it. Because this is going to surround it. Because it will come up for audit, because it's going to be a contract for services. And when they look at it next year, and if it's audited, and then we turn out with liabilities against us already, then how's that to get them started? I just hate to see it start next year. With any, a possibility of something being wrong. You know, we know what, the statutes back it, you can't pay in advance. You know, 2 of the State Board of Accounts, 1 that does our audits for the county, and 2, the field superintendent.
Right now, we're talking about the contract.
But the contract has under section C, I think, Don, what is
Yeah,
it?
it says payable in
Under
advance.
C, it specifically says payable in advance. I think those can be, that can be rectified easy enough to where we pay at the end of each month. And then we're paying for our services, and they would only be, if you paid, let's say if you paid at the end of October, then, you know, they're only gonna be off a couple weeks. You're not gonna pay anybody for, if they hire a director, you're not gonna pay them in advance. Now, you might pay to, you know, help them relocate or something in that sense, you know, manner, but to pay them in advance for a salary, you're not gonna do that. If it's office, you know, equipment, office supplies, you know, they're gonna get a credit for that. I mean, they'll go, if they go locally, that won't be due until the 1st of November. The only thing I see, you know, might be a question is the rent, and at that point, they had no idea where they were going. I don't know, I just think 2 weeks is not gonna make or break, you know, and I think it gives us a more positive direction to get this sorted out. I don't know, had your county attorney looked at the contract?
I read most of it to him, yes.
That's the other thing too is, I can't think of any situation where our county attorney has not looked over the contract and given us his opinion. And all of a sudden, he's not given us his opinion on this. And I think that's very odd that he wrote us an 8-page memo about things that he wanted to see in the contract, you know, several months ago, and it's not in here, and now he's not giving us his opinion on this. So I think that's unusual. I also am not, it's not right for county tax dollars to be paying $14,366 for salary and benefits of a director starting November 1st, when the director isn't going to be here November 1st. That's what their budget says. That's not right. These are county tax dollars.
Amen.
And they're your county tax
Does that
dollars.
mean you're not going to second my motion?
No, I'm not, because it can't happen.
Don?
Well, I have some comments, but there is a motion on the floor, so I don't know whether you want me to make
I
those
do, I want
comments.
you to make a comment, yeah.
You-
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, my perspective as the city executive would be that the services are already being provided. There's nothing in this agreement that talks about what particular purpose any of these monies will serve. They will only serve the purpose of the broader organization in carrying out a scope of services. I don't consider that the money that the city is paying to be money for an executive director, or for rent, or for marketing expenses, or for telephone, or any other communications devices. I consider it to be a sum of money we're paying in return for a group or package of services, an economic development package of services. I also look at it and say the services are already underway. The attempt to gather applicants, interview applicants, and select applicants is all part of their duty, as I view it, to fulfill their contract. They cannot fulfill their contract without staff. Whether they're successful in hiring staff or not now is really none of my business. I don't care. I care that they're involved in a process. If they don't hire staff now, there may very well be a good reason not to hire staff. The right person may not be there. I don't know any of those circumstances and would presume to guess what the outcome may be, or to predict what it may be, or to say it must be a certain outcome. I do not presume any particular outcome except the betterment of the community through a community-based economic development program, and the LEO is the community-based program. So I think their work is underway. On that basis, I intend to execute this agreement.
The contract was based on this budget with these monetary figures. If you say that they are doing this process, then they're doing it voluntarily if they're not using this money. If they have a budget, then this is what they're using it for. So
Jane,
if
with all
they're,
due respect, the budget is not mentioned in your contract.
the budget is based on the monetary figures in this contract. Yes, it is. It's
No.
exactly the same.
That is their budget that they gave us for review. We are supporting the entire contract, the entire budget, excuse me, with the contract. I'm not picking out any particular thing. I'm not willing to say you may use a portion of the city's contribution out of edit funds for certain things and you may not use it for other things. We're
But if
just,
they don't have a director for 15 days and you're paying them in November, and the biggest portion of their budget is the director, then it's not fair to the citizens to be paying them for those first 15 days.
Jane, we are not.
But that's not really the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that we don't prepay. We don't prepay a contract. We did not pay Jackie Clements $30,000 when we approved her contract. We didn't pay her until 6 weeks. She presented us a bill ongoing. We didn't pay Seals Ambulance $252,000 for their contract. We paid them as they go. We never prepay contracts. The reason we don't is because it's not proper. It's against Indiana code. You can't do it.
I will agree to the agreement. That's not what I intend to do. And there are authorities elsewhere in the state that will tell me when it's all said and done, what's appropriate or what's inappropriate, and how the proper procedure is. That's been going on since time eternal. They don't expect us ahead of time to know exactly what the procedures are in order to comply exactly with those
You
procedures.
can't pay a contract in advance.
Well, that's fine. If you can't pay it ahead of time, somebody else will advise us of that.
Okay,
And we
then
will,
call the
I can tell
state
you,
auditor. Then
we will
call the
cer-
state auditor.
I will not call the state auditor ahead of time on this issue or any other issue. I will simply do what I was asked to do, which is execute a contract with the group that's going to provide a service for our community.
Okay, then maybe your clerk treasurer should do it before she cuts the check.
Jim?
I don't, Beth Roach has given us an approach that we should follow. Turn it over to our attorney like we've done with every other a contract or piece of paper that we come across this board. And let them analyze it and come back to us and give us a legal opinion. That's what we want. We want to wait 2 weeks to do that. That's the way it should be done. That's the way business should be done. We don't come roughshod over anybody. We don't come up and say, gee, we're going to spend a bunch of money, or give them a pot of money to go ahead and put aside for something else, slush fund, whatever, and that's all it is, because they're not paying anybody. This is ridiculous.
That's not a slush
Turn it
fund.
over to our attorney.
You're wrong on that, because they are already rendering services, as Don said.
But they're not asking for payment on services,
I
Mike.
think we're getting way off.
Yeah, we are.
I don't agree that it's
No, they're
slush
not.
fund either. I think they have done services. The problem I see is where it says payment in advance.
I personally talked to the attorney. I did not have it electronic to send him a copy, that he will be getting a copy. I read it to him, and he did not, anything stand out directly in a red flag. He said it's not too late, we don't need to hold the group up, so they can get the director on board. If there is something that needs changed, he said it can be amended.
We'd like to see that in writing
Well-
from our attorney like we always do.
The sad thing about all this is it didn't need to happen this way. And I'm not against Toledo at all. And the problem is that this was supposed to be open and transparent. And the fact that we didn't have any meetings between June 25th and October 10th is ridiculous. And we get a contract dumped on us with no input whatsoever. And that's open and transparent? I don't think so. I think we never had one single bit of input on what we wanted to see in the scope of services, to talk about this, to talk about the money, to talk about how the payments were supposed to be made. Nothing. That's open and transparent? I don't think so. And it didn't have to happen that way. So now it's off to the start of just like it's always has been. So the more things change, the more they remain the same, just like it's always been.
If I may, I'd like to make a statement that I couldn't disagree more from the city executive side. And I appreciate the fact that Commissioner Harper, as a single commissioner, is entitled to her view. But I believe we've gotten off to an extremely good start. I've seen a high level of cooperation, a high level of transparency, and a high level of citizen input in this effort to move economic development forward in Tipton County. I couldn't be happier with what has taken place today.
We had no meetings.
Well,
And
I
no
would,
meetings between June
Okay,
21st
Well, that's
and
the
October
city
10th.
end. We haven't had anything on the county
No
end.
meetings with the
I
Alliance and the
would
board.
agree with Don as far as the high
Yeah, no
level of
meetings.
support in the community. And there's been positive support all along for this, and I support this 100%. I will say that I would feel comfortable if John Brook looked it over. I'm not interested in 15 meetings. I'm interested in John Brook looking at that contract and giving us advice that this needs change or this, that, and let John tweak it, let Don look at it, and we go from there. But as far as further debate, I'm not interested in that because I'm 100% on board with contracting with the new Lido. The caliber of people that we have as volunteers on that have impeccable character, and I'm ready to move forward. And it's very important with all the things that are going on, that we need to hire a director and we need to get the Lido funded so they can, and they're operating on their own money, and they are currently working on our behalf. And we're not doing
The
anything.
important thing, Mike, is that we do it legally.
So, what do you, got any comments?
I made the motion.
Okay.
I didn't talk to the attorney personally yesterday.
Table it. So we get an attorney's opinion.
Beth?
I think the contract, we need to move forward, but I think that 2 weeks is not gonna make or break it.
Amen.
And-
Come on.
Wait just a minute before you go off. I think the group has worked very, very hard on both the Alliance side and on the Lido side. You know, this has been going on for almost a year and a half since the very first meeting. And a lot of the guys that volunteered on this committee have worked so hard on it. And I want to see it further, but I don't want to start out with the possibility of a black.
Well, here's where I stand on it. After John Brook looks at it and he tweaks it if it needs tweaked, I'm ready to vote to
I
approve it,
agree.
and I will
I
second
agree
that
because
motion
you've got a
or
legal
make that motion
opinion.
myself, and I'm tired of messing with it.
Exactly.
And it's time to move
You've
forward
got
and
a
take care
legal
of it.
opinion then, so that covers anything that you as a board do, anything that Greg does, because he is the one that's got to represent you if State Board of Accounts comes back.
I think it'll be loud for this week.
Okay, well, there's not a second for Phil's motion, so it will die for lack of a second. But I suggest that we have Phil, since he contacted John, that he contact John.
He's traveling.
I would get your response.
It will be in.
Okay.
A written opinion.
Only because there could be, down the road, any type of a, you know,
If John suggests changes, we will get it in writing. If there's no changes, he will give us his opinion on that.
and I think that's wonderful. I think that's a positive way to start.
Once he looks at it, if he needs to tweak it, then we give it to the city, make sure that the city's okay with it, and we go from there.
I think that's a
And
positive.
we will
way to
vote
start.
on it. We will vote on it at our next meeting.
I think you should. I think
And
you
we
should.
will approve it,
I
or at
agree.
least that's my opinion.
I agree. I think that you should.
Right, and John, don't shoot it down.
I just want you to know, I intend to sign the contract as it was presented.
It's up to the city.
So now we have a situation where we'll have possibly have two different contracts. So, and again, it's simply an attempt to divide, divert, and obstruct.
No. it's
Yes.
not.
Mr. Havens, we'd rather do it legally properly, okay, than what you want to do.
Greg, we need our people in here for payroll, miscellaneous claims. Let's look over the minutes while he's getting. Look through the minutes, I didn't see any problems with them.
That's better.
I move we approve the minutes as presented for October 9, 2012.
Second.
I'm not.
We have a motion second on the floor to accept the minutes as presented for October 9, 2012. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
I'm not on the agenda, but I just would like to put support. Election is 2 weeks away, and we have been having some internet service provider problems with our internet. All of our applications in the clerk's office are internet-based, and being that the county is closed on Tuesday, or the courthouse is closed, I just want to make sure that we will have IT services on Tuesday in case we have any problems. We had an issue on Friday where I received no emails all morning through my tiptoncounty.in.gov email. I'm getting absentee ballot requests from overseas and military voters. I'm also getting their ballots back through my email. When my email finally came back up a little bit after noon, 12:30, I had an absentee ballot request and a military ballot.
Have you talked to Bill about this?
No, I haven't. I figured I would, since it's actually a day off, that it would be, more appropriate if he would need to be scheduled, just to, make certain that we, if we do run into a problem on election day, that, he'd be available.
He'll be available, okay, I'll talk to him about it.
Okay. That's it. We will need the back door also, so the poll workers can get on. We'll determine what times.
Okay.
Debbie, you were having issues with another thing in that's related to the court system too, the internet. Did that
Yes.
get resolved?
No, currently that is not resolved. There are some very, very, very bad problems with TDS, their internet service. They apparently go to AT&T, and somewhere in the lines there is some type of static or noise or something. So our applications aren't running efficiently. We're getting logged off. We're getting no connection to the internet, and the JTech, which is the software provider for our Odyssey court system, has suggested a temporary fix until apparently the service provider is not acknowledging that they need to fix this issue. But JTech is going to basically, they call it like piggyback on top of the child support system to be able to get our Insight, which is the court system for marriage license, and the BMV, and then the Odyssey system, which is where we maintain the court records. They're going to take those applications and put them through the child support system. So we'll be able to work, but that isn't going to happen until later this week. They're hoping by the end of the week that they will have that fixed. But there is a very, very serious problem with our internet service provider.
But on election day, how dependent are you on the computers?
Oh, we're absolutely dependent on the computers.
Okay, so what do you do?
We just need, if we have a problem, we just need to have someone here who's going to take care of it. We have absentee ballots from military and overseas coming in.
I will talk to Bill, but you've also, he has to work with those providers, and are they available?
And we've all three had a discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's where they have suggested taking our system, but we still have taking our court systems and putting them through the child support system. But we still have our voter registration system, which is internet dependent. And we are currently experiencing, I tried to print off an absentee application this morning for a person who came in, no connection to the internet. It just dropped. And so then I had to go in and redo it again. So it's taking a lot of time. It's really crippling our efficiency.
So you have 2 weeks.
I will check with Bill, mention to Bill after this meeting.
Okay, all right.
Hey, Debbie, while you're here, he had sent in a memo to us saying that he would send you an email about a picture of you for your webpage. Have you gotten that?
No.
Okay. All right, because he said that, because there's two of you and Benita are not on the webpage. He said he would email you to make an appointment. You've not yet gotten that, not mentioned that name to them. Okay, well, that's vital. We've got to get that straightened out in 2 weeks then.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay, Greg. Payroll?
right?
You can do the payroll. Yeah, I did it.
Oh, I thought you were here.
I wasn't. I did it yesterday, and then I finished it this morning.
Oh, so is there anything you need to point out to us?
Nope. It's different. Total payroll for October 26, 2012 is $126,917.36.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve it as presented, $126,917.30 for check date 10/26/12.
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to pay the payroll claims for 10/26/2012 in the amount of $126,917.30. All those in favor say aye.
Somebody forget to turn theirs off.
That ain't mine. It's not mine. Whose it is? Somebody vibrate the whole table.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous claims?
The total, $124,484.83.
Okay, Lindsay, can I see the Historical Society claim? The reason I'm asking about it is because we paid it in July. We gave him $2,000 in July.
That's their annual payment.
That was for the maintenance of the cabinets downstairs.
Yeah, we gave him $2,000 in July.
But what they're requesting now is
They're requesting for preservation of records.
that's what they're working on now.
Right. The probate records that are in the,
Okay, but,
Is that out circuit court?
yeah, that's not out of ours.
I thought that it's coming out of circuit court for next year.
We took it out this year, too. I did the additional appropriation for it.
Okay,
When I advertised.
Well, good, then
for the-
if that's the case, then since it's not coming out of our grant line, you can give them the whole amount that they asked for
Yes.
instead of a reduced amount. Because you were given a reduced amount because of our balance.
I don't, I don't know about this one, but before, when it came for.
It's the same thing. This,
it was
Because I know, I did that additional appropriation, I advertised it. This one, I don't know, but I know in talking with the judge, anything on that preservation of those records, he said he would assume through his budget. He didn't realize that it was gonna be costing, so
the
much.
additional appropriation that you asked for was for this project.
Yes,
So-
but I don't know if it includes this payment or not. I don't.
Well, we haven't even got up to the total that they requested yet.
Well, we put the full amount in for next year.
And did you put the full amount in that they requested for this year?
The total was $6,400.
I don't think, why don't we put that in there? No.
Where would it be on the
They
ledger
came
then?
asked for additional appropriation. I want to say it was like 2,700 or
There were.
Something like that?
Yes, it was
I don't know.
What fund? What fund was that?
$3,223.58.
It
We
could have
gave them
certain more.
we gave them $500 up front, and they're
And
asking
that
for
came
the
from
other.
the commissioners, didn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
and they are requesting the additional remaining balance of this year's half of the estimated cost of preserving those probate records.
And you
that
have
is
it coming
27.
from,
I'm sorry?
you have it coming out of commissioners?
Yeah, it should come out of our budget.
Yeah,
But
so
is
it
that
should
claim
come out.
coming out of your budget?
Yes.
Quite honestly, I don't remember what our total was, but I thought I'd only advertised the portion they were asking for at that time.
But see, they asked, well, my I don't do
I just don't recall putting $6,000 in there. I might have, but I think I only put what they asked for at that point.
They asked for half and half, $3,223.58 this year, and $3,224.58 next year.
So what they actually need is about $2,700 or something today.
I think that's what I have, additional appropriated. Maybe this is the claim, they've never claimed it since we did the additional
Well,
appropriation.
that's it. Could be the claim.
That could
The
be.
claim was for more than Greg was going to pay them because we didn't have that
Okay.
much in that grant line. So if you've already claimed on this
I know
coming out of the court's
additional
budget, out of the
appropriated.
judge's budget, then,
I know I additional appropriated out of the judge's budget, and that's been,
Months ago.
yeah.
back in the summer,
And if they've never filed a claim against that, then
They
that would
haven't.
be this money.
they haven't.
Okay, I just want to make sure this wasn't above that, because I know I only put like 2,700, for some reason,
Right.
2,700 sticks in my mind.
27 would be about right, because
Because
that
then
was,
when the
Jill had
judge
asked for
came in,
$2,700.
He said he would put that in his 2013 budget, and he forgot. So we had to do that at budget session, and he was aware of that.
So it's covered.
So it should.
And it even created a line. I think when I did the resolution and, or did the creation in the paper, I think I even created a line.
So we get
for it.
back out of today, it was $2,000, we get back it out.
We need back, okay, and then,
Approve the total claims of $2,000 less, and then take the whole amount out of the judge's budget.
Judges, yes.
And go ahead and pay them what they requested.
Yeah,
From
but
the judgment, but
where would it be in the ledger to see what the whole
We
thing
created
is?
a line
I know, but where would it, what,
in
do
a circuit court.
you know what that is?
21100.
Tell you, and I couldn't tell you what line was
Location is
created.
232.
But I know when I advertised, I created a line and then appropriated into
All
it.
right, hang on. Okay, circuit
Yeah,
court
remember everything.
on,
Teach you.
Well, as it comes out of the judge's budget, we shouldn't care.
No, you have to create a line, and
I
I
know
know we
you had to do
created
it
a
for it,
line
yeah.
and appropriated to
You
it.
guys said that.
Yeah, and that's where it should be paid from, not from the commissioner.
Right, exactly, exactly.
you don't know what they called it?
I have a way for preservation records, for records preservation.
On paper, no.
I don't know, Greg, you'd have to go back and look at the resolution. Maybe it hasn't been created yet. Yeah, I mean, maybe that line hasn't been put into the circuit court yet and appropriated, but we just have to look at that resolution, because that's been probably 3 weeks.
Yeah, because it's not,
Back in perhaps May.
Okay, well, what we need to do now is just go ahead and approve today's claims minus the 2,000 for the
Maybe you'll have
Historical
to wait.
Society.
Yeah, I believe they're gonna be fine on supplies, they just want to get
We
it done.
can take care of the next meeting if you can
Yes.
get out all your ducks in order.
That'd be fine.
okay, let me see the ad valorem too. Page 4. Page 4. It's not looking like it was ever put in that ledger. This is just. So I want to make sure that it wasn't coming out. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so we're not sure what the Then I'll move to approve claims in the amount of $122,484.83.
Second to it.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve today's claims. $122,484.83, which is taking $2,000, removing it out of the Commissioner's grant line for the Historical Society. The rest next week, or next meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty, you already paid these for that ordinance? Yes. Okay, these TDS claims are $4,615.68 that were due. And Lindsay is checking on, I questioned where the courthouse bundle was. She's checking to see why that claim's not on here. So these are everything about that. So I'll move we approve this $4,615.68 to TDS.
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to pay a claim to the TDS for $4,615.68. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Oh, okay, okay. And then to Tipton Municipal Utilities was also due to avoid the penalty in the amount of, we would approve the amount of $3,644.09.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to pay a claim for Tipton Utilities at $3,644.09. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
And we have a John Brook claim that we need to transfer money in order to pay. The total amount of that claim is $1,012.50.
Don't have any money to pay that, but whatever happened, we were gonna ask for additional appropriation for that line. Never got requested, did we?
I think you guys did transfers.
Huh?
You transferred your money around the last time. No, you thought out for that. But I recall.
But we said we were going to, because.
I don't recall you, I don't recall a request, but I know the last time, I think you just transferred around, like, out of your outside, putting
I
out
said we
insurance off.
asked for extra money to pay for that.
Yeah, you did. You did better. Yeah, you did ask for that. So we need to ask for.
Since I'm gonna talk to John this week, I'll ask him how much total is. I think we need to ask for additional appropriation. I mean,
I think you're gonna be too late to get him in before the end of the year, but
there's January. I mean,
you could still.
you can still start the process,
Still do
can't
it
you?
and then encumber it.
Yeah, but
You could start the process and encumber it.
yeah, but Lindsay, what month is that? Is that September's?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
What
talk-
is that?
I mean, that's September's.
September?
I will talk to John and see what he says when I talk to him and tell him that's September's bill.
But I mean, it could be 4
It could be,
months.
yeah. I will
$4.
talk to him and see what he says.
But do that after you ask about the legal contract.
After what?
After you asked about the legal contract.
Yeah, you're right.
Regarding his bills, though, you guys notice, what is this telephone conference with resident about developer issues on property? We have residents calling him?
What does it say, Jane?
It says telephone conference with resident about developer issues on property.
Does it have an amount?
Yeah, well, it's lumped in with a few other things, but still,
I'll ask him that too.
okay.
Give me a copy of that.
I emailed one.
What you read.
She sent it to
John.
John Brooks.
And then, you know, I guess I don't understand why, like it says telephone conference with Commissioner Harper regarding, this issue with Jay Moss, but he called me, and I don't, I guess I don't understand when he calls us and we don't ask him to call us, we're getting charged for that. I didn't ask him to call me. I didn't.
It's only taxpayers' money, you know. We just keep
I
spending it.
guess I don't understand some of these. And then that redistricting thing, I never got an answer on that. Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about the J thing, because all these legal bills with John involved in the J Moss situation were almost $300. And Jay is collecting unemployment at $100 a week. So we've spent $600 for Jay. And if we had just let Jay work, we would be getting something out of Jay. And so if we would take the unemployment and just let Jay work, then we would be getting something from Jay. Doesn't make sense for Jay to collect unemployment.
I just asked Greg, he says he didn't think he was collecting it.
Yeah, he is. I asked him, he's getting $100 a week. But Beth, the unemployment is in a 1,000 series, and his salary's in a 1,000 series. So is it possible to transfer some of that money into his part-time salary line?
The council have to, yeah.
I know, but
In 100, yeah.
wouldn't that make more sense?
I think when we looked at, when we started out, was it last year, and that unemployment line was negative, and then we did additional appropriation, and but I kind of kept an eye on that to see, because I thought, how are we getting off, it was like $10,000 or $12,000 off, remember? And I don't know if it was there was just some claims at that point, or if that fourth quarter of the previous year fell over into that, from what I could tell. But so far, we're on target. We're doing really good with our unemployment side.
But it just makes more sense to me that we're paying him $100 a week to sit at home. Why don't we pay him $100 a week to work? If we can transfer the $100 a week into his part-time salary line, let's let him
The
work.
council approved 1,000, so how are you doing? Has that been utilized?
That's enough to cover 2 weeks vacation.
Yet this year, for this year?
Yeah.
So when he works during that time, he won't be able to draw
Right.
unemployment. And then he won't be able to go right back into it. He'll have to count that into that portion that might keep him from drawing again.
Right, but it doesn't
I
cover
don't
the
know.
30.
I mean, that's you guys' policy.
Well,
The question is, how can he draw both? How can he draw unemployment and then also a salary?
No, the weeks that he's working, he can't draw unemployment.
Oh,
He can't
okay.
draw unemployment when he's.
I misunderstood, sorry.
But anyway, I just think that doesn't make any financial sense that Jay's not working and he's got $600, so.
Okay, what are we doing then about additional appropriation? Are we going to, even though we haven't done it?
I think we need to request additional appropriation for our county attorney line.
Okay. Do you have an amount, or do you want to add that amount after you talk to John? We had an amount, because I calculated what.
We had it calculated before.
When we sat down and met to go over a capital improvement plan, I had totaled up what we'd spent on attorney fees prior to that for the first 6 months. Calculated that out, and that is what our additional appropriation, it was supposed to have already been done, and I don't know who dropped the ball, but it didn't get done, so. We knew back in June, we were gonna need more money.
That's 9,000. You remember, Dan?
No, but you just said that would, what are you saying, we would roll over into January?
If they do an additional appropriation, of those funds, then, if it's approved, but yet the bill's still outstanding, if we get it approved before the end of December,
Oh, I see.
then it can be encumbered. If it's not approved before the end of December, then it can't be. But if the bill's outstanding and we have the additional appropriation approved by then, it just may not be approved by the state, but if the commission, if the council, gets it approved by then.
So it might be the first week of January before
Before
we
he
pay
gets
John.
paid, yeah. Yeah.
If it's- yeah.
Yeah, that's,
And you'll have to approach him on that when you talk to him about the lead.
but if he's just billed you up to September, you know, he's just billed you up to September, and here we are in October, so you probably won't get the bill.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is he gonna wait 4 months?
I don't know, but that's why I brought it up in June, because I saw this happen on that, be an issue.
I'll have to lay him off.
We need, do we need a motion to ask for an appropriation? Or you just ask for it, can we? If I can give Greg an amount, do we need to talk the amount today, or can I?
Well,
I
I'd
don't-
ask you to run the video report to see how much we
So we
pay.
got- When's your next meeting?
November,
Tuesday. Is after yours.
Next,
Not a meeting.
after our next one? So, all right, I'll get,
The week after.
I'll talk to him and get an amount, and then we can say that at our next meeting.
20th, November 20th is the next meeting.
Linda Williamson's claim, $3,300.
it's up to you guys, 'cause, you know, there's another one that, I don't know what she does, so.
Well, you never talked to her. The other night, when you were at the 4-H grounds, you didn't even talk to her, so you could have got a report. That's how I get a report. I call her and talk to her. I talked to her this morning before I came to this meeting. That's how I get a report.
I think she doesn't include me on any emails. I
She
think
didn't email me. I called her. That's how I got the
She's
information.
never emailed
And you
you?
could do the same
She's
thing.
never emailed you guys?
She's emailed you too.
No, she doesn't. No, she does not email me. I don't get any emails from
I
her.
personally talked to her after the meeting, face to face, after the Thursday night meeting, and asked her what all she'd been working on.
She never sends me anything. And
You
she
have a
doesn't.
report?
I make a
She
motion to
doesn't
pay
give her
the claim
reports once a month.
to Linda Williamson for $3,300.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Okay, I will second your motion. We have a motion second on the floor to pay Linda Williamson's claim for $3,300 today. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Right.
Motion carries.
And we need to talk about what we're going to do when they hire a director with her.
We don't know what we're gonna do, because they haven't hired a director.
Well,
We need to get closer to what happened and when, and what the situation is with the new director, how much time they need to let their current employer know before they leave. So we can't make that decision.
Her contract is up December 31st. We can't do anything or make a decision, I don't think, until after we know who the director they hire is.
And what the circumstances are around that new director.
So,
it says in her contract that when a director is hired, then she's done. That's what her.
Unless we amend the contract. And so
Well-
today, we don't need to worry about it.
No. It says we have to.
Good point, Mike.
That's the other thing, that paying her and another director, where's the money?
so we don't have another director yet, so that wasn't the play.
Just, as far as myself and being a taxpayer, or whatever, I'd like to see if Phil is gonna talk to the attorney about that contract that we're talking about with Lido. And it also, that he looks at the entire thing, including the legal ramification of paying for services not rendered, and that each one of the commissioners get a copy of that.
That's the way John always
And
works.
usually, I've had it where one of you guys got a copy, and the other
No,
two had.
that's not true.
John
No,
Burke sends
he
all.
always sends it to all.
John always includes.
Always sends a
everyone.
copy to all of
Because
you.
Here's John's.
Thank you, then that's what I wanted to know.
Here, if you'll be quiet, I'll tell you what John's stance is.
Yes,
He works for,
but I can ask the
he
question.
works for the Board of Commissioners. He works for all three of us. So when he's rendering an opinion about a contract or something, he's gonna include everyone.
Yeah.
If one of us asks him something specific, that he may answer that person back. But in this case,
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly, I don't, Mike, you're missing the point. If you ask a question, it's relevant to all of us.
not necessarily, not
Well, if
necessarily.
it's,
In this-
if it's personal, then you get your own attorney. But if it's relevant to all of us in the county, when you ask a question for the county, okay? And not you asking it personally, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And-
Everybody should get a copy of it,
They will.
but they haven't in the past.
They have.
Jim, John usually does, John does send us all everything.
If
The
you
only
ask a
time-
question, if you ask a question
The
only,
only time that I think Phil and I didn't
Did
get
he
something.
make sure they all get it?
Was when Linda Williamson's contract was extended. I never saw it, and Phil said in the meeting he never saw it. That's the time we did not see the extension from John.
there was a time,
Okay,
what you're saying.
about three things.
Three things, go ahead.
One, back to the Jay Moss thing. Jay Moss called me and wanted to know if we would allow him an increase in pay up to $10 an hour, and if he could work the 4 hours a week. I told him I cannot make that decision, that's the board's decision. But I would bring it up at today's meeting.
Did you pencil that out to see how much that would be?
That's over what's budgeted for next year.
And that's why we're in
You passed.
problems now, overpay and overwork.
In
In
fact,
fact, that's the whole problem with that part-time help situation.
The
That's right.
$9.50 we agreed out, which is budgeted, is almost $1 an hour more than he was making when I started a year and a half ago.
Okay, he asked for what?
He asked for $10
Making
an hour
$8.76.
for right now, if to come back
At 9:50.
and work 4 hours a day. But like what you guys budgeted for us,
I figures
we
$9.50
couldn't
an hour.
even, we couldn't even do the 2 weeks that Ann would be off.
So are you saying that he would like to come back though and work 4 hours a day?
He said he wants to come back and work 4 hours a day at $10 an hour.
You mean in
Now.
2013?
Huh?
In 2013?
Well, now he.
Yeah, now,
So he would go off of unemployment? I mean, kind of like Jim's saying, though, if you got the $1,000, we're paying you $99.
where are we gonna get the money to pay?
Well, we've got to pay it out of the unemployment line, you can transfer. You can transfer that into the other, I mean, if he's wanting, if that's something you guys want to do, I mean,
If you take a look at Ann Cox's vacations, that will almost take care of his unemployment.
I mean, it's as broad as long as you pay it out to unemployment, then he's not giving you any service, and if you pay him, which you would have been paying unemployment, then at least you're getting the service.
Right.
And that's the difference when you guys have to pay yours out.
But $100
The
a
pocket.
week is just 10 hours a week, so that's only 2 hours a day.
Which Ann's gonna take a day, simply one day vacation.
And did we not pass a resolution for 950 across the board just recently? About 2 weeks, about a month ago?
Part-time can go up to $11 and something.
Well, yeah, but they changed it here.
The $100 would only getting 2 hours a day at $10 an hour.
Well,
He asked if we'd consider the 4 hours a day, $10 an hour.
I'm not interested in going over what we proposed in our budget for next year.
Yeah, you're going right, $9.50 an hour, 3 hours a week, or 3 hours
I'm
a
not
day.
in favor of
Oh, for next year, Mike, is
Next
that what
year.
you're saying? Oh, yeah.
No, I want to stay with what we budgeted, what we planned for. I want to stay within that budget. I don't want to spend more.
Another question, he was given an extra hour to water the plants and take care of that side, and that hasn't been done at all this year. So I see no reason to give him the extra hour.
I agree with Mike. Mike is taking a good position on controlling the money and staying within budget. That's what we need to do.
So
There's an
what's the
agreement.
suggestion then? That's what we offer him?
$9.50, 3 hours a day.
That's what we offered him.
And now, if he turns that down, what would we do? We'd advertise for someone to fill that position?
If he turns it down, we should have.
Well, yeah, stay within budget.
I think if you offer him that, then that becomes an issue with his unemployment. I think
Yeah,
they want
it
to check
does.
because he's been
does.
offered employment. I don't know if it'd be
Absolutely.
considered gainful or not, but I think that would become an issue with his unemployment, so.
It is,
It is.
Definitely does.
but that's for 2013.
So what are we gonna do to cover for Ann when she's on vacation this
He
year?
said he would let me know definitely after I find out what they said in there.
Okay, so he may turn that down if we, okay, that's fine.
I will contact him and officially ask him.
When is Ann going on vacation?
I don't remember the
They had
dates.
those, I
She
have
had a
those dates in my
schedule.
office, I can get those.
You got a
We
schedule?
don't have,
It's
we don't,
coming up.
we don't
It's
have to
coming
get it
up, I
right
think.
now.
It's coming up soon.
Yeah, I got a copy.
I think first week in November.
Okay.
That's when it begins.
So before we meet again.
Okay. Another one I have, I talked to Mike Lee about the landscaping of the, trimming trees and everything.
Yeah.
His recommendation, if you really get out and look, is these trees really are way too big and they very much distract from the courthouse.
Right.
He
Yeah, that's what
recommend,
that guy said.
he recommends taking them completely out.
There you go. Get rid of that bird
That's what the Wolford
mess
said.
we get over there all the
He
time.
recommends taking them completely out. And also the 6 crab trees out in the front corner, which are overgrown, which one of them's half dead. He recommends taking them out. And I said, what would you do then? And he said, I would fill it back in with dirt and have it a nice green space with a nice green yard. And then he recommends some of the bushes around the outer edge, which they are overpowering now too, take them and get smaller, attractive, which would accentuate the courthouse itself.
Right. or
I asked him if he would
green
draw me up a plan, and he said yes, and he would have it by the 1st of December for us to look at.
So he would take the trees out?
He recommends getting a tree trimmer to take the trees out and let him come in and fill the dirt and do all the rest of
Okay,
it.
which is what Lee said he could take them out. Lee Wolford said he
And
could.
how much did Lee Wolford look?
I have that estimate in another folder.
Well, Mike is gonna get up a proposal.
Okay.
Well, Mike Lee. The other one, I was approached by 2 people that live out on 300 West.
I got that down too. Dick?
You better go.
Yeah,
Dick was one of them.
Yeah, he's talked all three of
He
us.
would like to know what we can do about the truckers using their jake brakes going down 300 West to get to Pioneer. Well, the city has an ordinance now. Is that covered within the city jurisdiction?
Oh, well, that's only in the city limits, but he doesn't live in the city limits.
No, he's in the outer edges,
Yeah,
so
I
we
know.
would have to do something.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
he's hit me up about it twice.
I think you ought to, I think we ought to approach Pioneer first. See
Absolutely.
see if they will post the plan.
Well, if they
Or
post,
not
if
use
they
a
post,
jake brake.
if they buy the sign, we'd have the highway, no engine brakes allowed.
I don't know if we can put signs up without an ordinance.
Can, I don't know, can we?
I don't think we can.
Is it just the Pioneer trucks?
It is truckers driving to Pioneer.
So it'd be, no, it's not Pioneer trucks.
No, that's not Pioneer, it's individuals, it's the guys that really like to hear the cackle, and see how many windows they can wrap. Yeah,
What was it was there ordinance, was it called, was it a noise ordinance, or was it I remember when it happened, but I couldn't remember
the city,
Most of the signs in towns and so forth will say no exhaust brakes allowed or something like
and
that.
exhaust brakes, engine brakes, something like that. Yeah.
maybe we could get a copy of their ordinance, so we wouldn't have to pay them.
Well, I think the first thing to do is try the approach, see if Pioneer can post it for us,
What do you want to have that post?
not to use jake brakes on 300.
I will be glad to talk to the plant manager out there.
Yeah, they've got a sign shop and everything, why don't we just do that? Let's see if they'll
Talk to
do it
Pioneer.
for
That
us.
won't cost us anything, and I know that Pioneer will be cooperative, I'm sure. of that.
There you go.
I will talk to the plant manager out there and see what we can get.
Greg, you had down here published legal here, what did that mean?
I believe that line's getting kind of thin. Make sure we have enough to,
Oh,
I was thinking we may want to also address that if we ask for additional appropriations, we might want to do that.
I mean, I think we've got enough, we have some small amounts in other funds that we can probably take care of that one, but, regarding that though, have you published the ordinance for Prairie Acres yet?
They've been taken to the Tribune.
Okay.
They will soon be in.
Okay. Because once that's done, we need to get Larry Weitzel to go ahead and
To
post
post
the
the signs.
signs.
We need to move money and create project 60 to 50
We did that, we already took care of
Yeah, but what the motion was, is we transferred 36,000 out of project 54 into project 60. We didn't do the full 36.5, which the bill is 36.5, or will be. We didn't do the full amount, because we got 36.5 for project 54.
I'm sure you did, so she'll know about it when you said. They're just going over it again.
Greg has a transfer here from grants to travel, conference, and registration, $140 to pay Indiana Association of Commissioners.
It's the registration for the commissioners' conference this fall.
What do we have in grants? I mean, I don't think we have anything in grants because
We've done over $2,000.
well, we have Boys and Girls Club that's taken the last 2,500. So we have $2,500 left in grants, and that's for the Boys and Girls Club. What is it needed for that? $140 for?
To pay the $250 claim.
For the registration.
I thought we were going to do that.
No, that's just come through. And that's just
I thought we paid it for you guys.
We paid the membership, but I don't remember paying for the conference.
It was on the last.
Is there a late fee if it's not approved today?
Usually $20 early payment fee.
Probably.
It was $145 each. I remember seeing that. Don't you remember? Maybe
Greg, you're supposed to remember all this stuff.
Yeah, okay.
sometimes the Teflon just doesn't work.
Yeah, here it is, 10/9, $290 for IACC, $145 each.
That would be it, too.
Yeah, it says
Good memory, Jane. Wow.
10/9, IACC, to 145 and 125.
There you go.
And now they've got two 125s. You signed it, Phil.
We have
Double billing.
She's got the right amount. Okay.
Double billing us.
So we should have a correct.
Phil, you signed it, so.
You mean you've already sent that?
It appears,
No, I mean, the one we're approving today, but,
no, we apparently haven't paid it.
okay.
There's,
So it,
on
so there's
10/9/12,
a.
145 and 145 to IACC. And then there's two for 125 and 125.
They sent it back with a $20 discount on each one for an early registration, so we have a $40 credit.
She's right.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
Oh, yeah, they did. They did. So,
There was a payment last time of $290 for IACC Indiana Association.
for two people, right? So, actually, they owe $40, because see, now they're saying there's a credit for $20 each. So, you want to just call them and say that we've done paid it and that they know we're $40? Now we have enough to put in published legal, Greg.
There we go. That'll help.
Yes, sir.
That'll help.
Okay. Any more issues?
Two questions for you. When you were talking about the trucks out by Pioneer, Did the county ever pass a noise ordinance? I know they talked about it a lot of years ago.
Not that I know of.
They didn't do anything like that?
Not that I know of, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't think they did. I don't believe there is one in the county, which I don't know why you pass it in the whole county anyway.
Well, I know they talked about it one time because of loud music somewhere.
That might have been over by your house, I don't know.
The only point that I was trying to make, Mike, is many times when we have a board meeting here, and one of you will jump up and say, well, I talked to John and he said this and this, the other two don't know about it. You know, it's not, I'm not trying to make trouble, I'm always saying that when you talk to him, all the three of you gotta know so we know what's going on.
Well, in this case, I understand, in this case.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and in this case, where John's looking at a contract, he will respond to all three commissioners
Okay.
and give his opinion.
When it's in a contract, okay.
Anything else, Bob?
Concerning, the bond that Mandy had when she was auditor, has there been any action to see if that can be collected on, or?
There's been a discussion about it, but here is John Brooks. Here's what John said on it, and so there's no reason to do anything. John said two things have to happen. One is we have to wait till Maximus is finished and has a report, because he said there's certain things that bonds cover and certain things that they don't cover. So he said until we have the facts and the full report, you can't approach the bond company and ask for them to cover certain things. We have to wait till there's a full report and the State Board of Accounts reports them. When those two things happen, then John will take it himself, review both of those, and then he will see what applies and what doesn't apply. And then we will move forward with the discussion of the bond company. But I believe the bond holder themselves has to be the one to request payment by the bond.
Well, you guys pay it, why would that be then?
Who's?
You guys pay the
What do you mean,
bond.
bond holder?
The person whose name the bond is in, I think. But at any rate, nothing can be done until the reports are final.
But there's an opening yet to be a possibility yet, that's the most important thing, yeah. And know that, I disagree with you on that, whoever pays the bond, especially when it's a municipality, is the one that.
All I'm going off of is what.
And John will tell you that.
That's right.
And John will tell you that, it's you guys, not them, not the bond
I
holder.
just have a quick one. Is the audit done, is the State Board of Accounts done, since you brought that up? Have they set your exit conference?
No, I haven't heard that they've said it, so the answer would be no.
Yeah, but real quick question. Last month, Mrs. Harper made a comment that she had a list of complaints regarding the pork festival. I'd like to have a copy of that list.
List of complaints regarding the pork festival.
You said that you would take it up with Jason later, and that's where it stopped. So I'd like to have a list of that, please.
And Jason said he would come and bring us a report too.
So when is he going to do that, do you know?
I don't know, he hasn't been back yet. I'll see him this afternoon at the drainage board.
And how soon before I can get that list? I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to bother you. Do you have a copy of it, Jane?
I don't right now with me. Was that 2 meetings ago?
I think it was the last meeting in September.
Oh, in September. All right, I'll get that file.
Okay.
Do you have an email address?
Yeah.
Can you give it to me?
Yes.
I can email it to you.
Okay.
Just after the meeting, just
Sure.
write it.
Any other questions? Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned.
We have a motion second on the floor to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Carried.
Hey, you looking to laugh?
I just think I was more excited than ours.
We don't attack people in the audience.
Well, we tried not to.
I know you do.
Appreciate you being there.
Yeah.
You know, thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, because, I agree.
Yeah.
That's our, I was in the last group, as far as I was concerned, there was a lot of things not done
Well,
right.
this is one positive.
That's what I'm saying, so let's keep it that way, and that's the important part. Especially for those that agree with the program, keep it positive.